och välkomna till Ntd Nyheter. Jag heter Dan Alfjorden. Här är våra rubriker. Presidentaspiranter debatterar Kina-politik. Kinas före detta utrikesminister påstås vara död, enligt rapport. Filmare berättar om motiven bakom islamistisk terrorism. Vad är kommunismens natur och vad är dess mål? Filmen Hur kommunismens spöke styr världen svarar på detta. Fyra republikaner som vill bli nominerade till presidentvalet 2024 gör upp om vem som är bäst lämpad att ta över manteln från den tidigare presidenten Trump. Och sammandrabbningen satte banden till Kina i hetluften. DeSantis gick hårt åt kopplingarna till den kinesiska regimen och anklagade den tidigare guvernören i South Carolina för att vara den högst rankade guvernören när det gäller att hjälpa det kinesiska kommunistpartiet att komma in i en delstat.
Her donors, these Wall Street liberal donors, they make money in China. They are not going to let her be tough on China, and she will cave to the donors. She will not stand up for you.
First of all, he's mad because those Wall Street donors used to support him and now they support me.
Frågor som rörde gränssäkerhet, invandring, utrikesfrågor, covid-vacciner, valintegritet och Kina togs också upp under natten och de drog sig inte för personangrepp.
Nikki, I don't have a woman problem. You have a corruption problem. And I think that's what people need to know.
Haley sa att hon som FN-ambassadör var mycket aktiv när det gällde Kina och Taiwan. Hon sa att sättet att hålla Kina borta från Taiwan är att låta dem veta att det kommer att bli hell to pay genom att vinna kriget i Ukraina. Kampen om att bli vald kommer att fortsätta eftersom Trump för närvarande leder de flesta opinionsundersökningar med mer än 40 procentenheter. Ramaswamy kräver att den femte debatten ska hållas på X. Det kommer rapporter från Kina som säger att den saknade före detta utrikesministern Qin Gang är död. Det kommer rapporten från Kina som säger att den saknade före detta utrikesministern Qin Gang är död, antingen genom självmord eller tortyr. Det uppger Politico med hänvisning till 2 personer som har kontakt med kinesiska topptjänstemän. De säger att Qin dog i slutet av juli på ett militärsjukhus i Peking. Det var ungefär samtidigt som Qin avsattes från sin ministerpost den 25 juli. I oktober avsattes även Kinas tidigare försvarsminister Li Shangfu 2 månader efter att han försvunnit från offentligheten. Kinas otransparenta politiska system gör det svårt att få fram information om tjänstemän. Vad motiverar terrorister att begå terrordåd? En fransk-israelisk journalist intervjuade dussintals islamiska grupper och fick insyn i vad som motiverar terrorister och om de bakomliggande orsakerna till konflikten i Mellanöstern. Krisen i Mellanöstern är en kris som sträcker sig över årtionden, till och med århundraden, och konflikten mellan Israel och Hamas är bara den senaste i raden. Vad vill Hamas få ut av konflikten med Israel?
I must add that we don't only fight against occupation. Our goal is to spread Islam to all, everywhere.
Vad säger då terroristgrupper att islam lär dem för att motivera dem att begå terroristhandlingar?
It's written in the Quran. When a martyr blows himself up, it's beautiful. It feels so good. He doesn't feel any pain, only pleasure. And even dead, he wants to do it again and again.
I will not feel sorry for any Israeli kid, and I will not regret even if it is a nursery full of kids. It's enough that I will be a martyr and I will go in front of God. Representing my family, 70 people, my wife, my children, my sisters, and all my friends. 70 people will go to paradise on my merit. This is a big honor for me. Pierre Rehov är reporter och dokumentärfilmare. Han har bevakat konflikter i Mellanöstern i årtionden. Han har intervjuat dussintals terrorister från Hamas, Islamska Jihad och Al-Qaida. Han säger att de nuvarande protesterna till stöd för Palestina är produkter av sovande celler som har varit inbäddade i USA och andra länder i åratal.
What we know is that all those parades in America and other places in the world, they are not spontaneous. It was kind of organized. Those are terrorist sleeping cells. We have been there for a long time. You certainly know my friend Steve Emerson, who had been covering for many, many years also. He wrote Jihad in America like 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And this is what is happening. A lot of the mosques are actually covering within their walls small organizations. I'm not talking about all the mosques, obviously, but some of the mosques are just terrorist bases.
Rehov talar om vem som finansierar islamistisk terroristpropaganda runt om i världen. Är det Iran, Ryssland eller Kina?
It's all of the above, and you forgot the most important, Qatar. Qatar also is involved. Qatar, Russia, China.
Very good point.
But more, also you have to understand, European Union. They send millions of dollars to left-wing organizations within Israel or within the Palestinian territories.
Rehov håller inte tillbaka när han talar om terrorismens framtid.
We will not be able to stop terrorism until the moment people actually call the things for what they are. If you're if you're reading the newspapers and if you're watching a lot of mainstream media, they don't even dare calling Hamas a terror organization.
Rehov är fortsatt hoppfull om ett slut på konflikten i Mellanöstern.
My hope is that we expand the Abraham Accords to all of the region of the including Saudi Arabia. And another hope is that America will wake up, and I think they are actually doing it now.
Den komplexa politiska och religiösa klyftan i Mellanöstern har funnits länge. Rehov säger att det är nödvändigt att hitta en global regering för palestinierna som kan acceptera Israels existens och sluta fred med dem.
Kajakpaddling är ett underbart sätt att koppla av, men inte om man lägger till ett 20 meter högt isigt vattenfall. Det verkar som om allt är lite mer extremt vid polcirkeln. En professionell kajakpaddlare har just satt världsrekord i högsta kajakåket utför ett glaciärvattenfall.
Äventyraren navigerade genom utmanande forsar och istunnlar innan det episka åket. Glaciärfloden är på istäcket Brasvelbren, Svalbards skärgård i Norge. Att ta sig till vattenfallet var ingen lätt uppgift eftersom besättningen var tvungen att klättra upp på istäcket från en båt med endast en stege och sedan gå 11 kilometer över isen och korsa strömmar och sprickor. Han blev den första personen som klarade av vattenfallet. Kajakpaddlaren döpte åket till Philip's Ladder som en hyllning till sin besättning.
Den högsta konsten är vacker, tidlös, inspirerad av det gudomliga. Upplev Gan Jing. Biljetter på ganjing.com.
Kommunismens spöke försvann inte med att kommunistpartiet i Östeuropa upplöstes. De kommunistiska regimernas kollaps i Sovjetunionen och Östeuropa markerade slutet på ett halvsekellångt kallt krig mellan de kapitalistiska och kommunistiska lägren i öst och väst. Många var därför optimistiska och trodde att kommunismen hade blivit en kvarleva från det förflutna. Den sorgliga sanningen är dock att en smygande, omvandlad kommunistisk ideologi istället har fått fotfäste och förankrat sig runt om i världen. Vi kommer att visa introduktionsdelen i en film Hur kommunismens spöke styr världen. Filmen är baserad på boken How the Spectre of Communism is Ruling Our World.
The specter of communism did not disappear with the disintegration of the Communist Party in Eastern Europe. The collapse of the communist regimes in the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe marked the end of a half-century-long Cold War between the capitalist and communist camps in the East and West. Many were thus optimistic, holding the belief that communism had become a relic of the past. The sad truth, however, is that a stealthily transformed communist ideology has instead taken hold and entrenched itself around the world. There are the outright communist regimes like China, North Korea, Cuba, and Vietnam. There are the former Soviet Union and Eastern European countries, where communist ideology and customs still exert a significant influence. There are the African and South American countries, which attempt socialism under the banner of democracy and republicanism. And then there are the nations of Europe and North America, whose body politics have become hosts to communist influences without people even realizing it. Communism breeds war, famine, slaughter, and tyranny. These in themselves are terrifying enough, but the damage dealt by communism goes far beyond this. It has become increasingly clear to many that, unlike any other system in history, what communism declares war on is humanity itself, including human values and human dignity. Over the course of a century, communism established massive dictatorships in the Soviet Union and China. It caused more than 100 million unnatural deaths. It enslaved billions, and it brought the world to the brink of nuclear war and thus destruction. Yet more important is its deliberate and widespread destruction of the family, its instigation of social disorder, and its attack on morality, all of which are ruinous to the foundations of civilization. What then is the nature of communism? What is its objective? Why does it take mankind as its enemy? How can we escape it? 1. Communism is a devil bent on the destruction of humanity. The Communist Manifesto begins, quote, "A specter is haunting Europe, the specter of communism." The use of the term specter was not a whim of Karl Marx. The preface of this book argues that communism should not be understood as being an ideological movement, a political doctrine, or a failed attempt at a new way of ordering human affairs. Instead, it should be understood as being a devil, an evil specter forged by hate, degeneracy, and other elemental forces in the universe. The communist specter took the form of a serpent, then that of a red dragon, and it keeps company with Satan, who hates God, and exploits low-level beings and demons to wreak havoc on man. The goal of the specter is to ruin humanity, and while the divine offers salvation to humanity, communism tells man not to believe, attacks human morality so as to renounce tradition, and causes man not to heed God's instruction, and ultimately to be destroyed. Following the Cold War, the poison of communism not only continued to harm former communist countries, but also spread throughout the world. The ideological infiltration of communism has led the specter to influence human society on a global scale, and many people even think that the dark wishes of communism are their own. With this, people lose their ability to judge right from wrong, to differentiate good from evil. This, a devil's conspiracy, was almost carried out. Thus, even as the specter congratulated itself, delighted with its sinister victory, most people thought that it had been destroyed. There's nothing more dangerous than mankind being on the verge of destruction, yet ignorantly celebrating its triumph. Two, the devil's ways and means. Man was created by God, and the compassion of gods has long protected man. This the devil knew, and so it set about severing this connection to corrupt man so that gods would no longer take care of him. The devil's approach has been to subvert the culture given to mankind by gods, corrupt human morality, and thus warp man and make him unworthy of salvation. The turbulence of Europe, beginning in the 18th century, and the attendant moral decline gave the devil an opportunity. It set about subverting, step by step, the criteria of discernment between good and evil. It promoted atheism, materialism, Darwinism, and the philosophy of struggle. The devil chose Marx as its envoy among men. Marx's Communist Manifesto of 1848 advocated the violent destruction of private enterprise, social classes, nations, religions, and the family. The Paris Commune of 1871 was its first attempt at seizing power. His followers argue that political power is the central question of Marxian political science. This is both true and not true. Being clear about the ultimate aims of communism means we can recognize that political power is both important and unimportant to the communist project. It is important in that access to political power allows a rapid means of the widespread corruption of humanity. With the levers of power, communists can promote their ideology with violence and eradicate a traditional culture in mere decades or years. Yet it is also unimportant in that even without the apparatus of the state, the devil has other means of exploiting the weaknesses and shortcomings of man. To deceive, co-opt, coerce, confuse, and so overturn traditional thought, subvert order, create upheaval, and to divide and conquer with the objective of gaining global control. Three, communism is the ideology of the devil. At the core of the evil specter is atheism and materialism, a confluence of elements from German philosophy, French social revolution, and British political economy assembled as a secular religion meant to replace the position previously occupied by God and orthodox beliefs. Communism turns the world into its church, bringing all aspects of social life under its purview. The devil chose Marx and others as its agents to oppose and destroy the principles laid down by God for human society. It promotes class struggle and the abolition of established social structures. In the East, it launched a violent revolution and established a totalitarian state that united politics and secular religion. In the West, it undertakes progressive, nonviolent communism through high levels of taxation and wealth redistribution. On a worldwide scale, it seeks to spread communist ideology to political systems everywhere, with the goal of undermining nation-states and establishing a global ruling body. This is the, quote, paradise on earth promised in communism, a supposed collective society without class, nations, or government, based on the principles of, quote, from each according to his ability and to each according to his need. In the Communist Manifesto, Marx proclaimed, quote, the communist revolution is the most radical rupture with traditional property relations. No wonder that its development involves the most radical rupture with traditional ideas. Thus, Marx himself accurately summarized the practice of communism over nearly the past 2 centuries. God is the source of moral order, and God's morality is eternal and unchanging. Moral standards should never be determined by man, nor can they be changed by man's power. Communism tries to sentence morality to death, and to have the communist new man establish a new morality. Yet, while it denies real morality, communism uses negative methods to expel from human tradition all its positive factors, with the goal of having negative factors occupy the world. Traditional laws come from morality and are intended to uphold morality. Communism tries to separate morality from the law, then destroys morality by concocting bad laws and maliciously interpreting traditional ones. God calls on man to be kind. Communism agitates class struggle and advocates violence and killing. God established the family as a basic social unit. Communism believes that the family is a manifestation of the private capitalist system and threatens to eliminate it. God gives man the freedom to obtain wealth and the right to life. Communism seeks to eliminate private property, expropriate assets, raise taxes, monopolize credit and capital, and completely control economic life. God established the form that morality, government, law, society, and culture should take. Communism seeks the, quote, violent overthrow of the whole existing social structure. God transmitted to man the unique form of traditional art as a means of passing on his image. Traditional art recalls to mankind the beauty of heaven, reinforces faith in God, elevates morality, and nurtures virtue. Communism, on the other hand, would have man worship warped modern creations, artistic productions that stifle our divine nature, give full rein to the demonic impulse toward chaos and disorder, and manipulate the art world by spreading base, ugly, malformed, evil, and decadent ideas. God wants man to be humble and full of reverence and wonder at divine creation. Communism connives at the demonic and arrogance in man, encouraging him to revolt against God by amplifying the evil inherent and inescapable in human nature. It exploits the idea of freedom to encourage conduct unrestrained by morality and unfettered by a sense of duty or burden. The slogan of equality is used to stir up envy and vanity as man is tempted by fame and material interests. Four, a metaphysical understanding of the devil. The idea of the devil being referred to in this text is that of a supernatural power. Understanding the type of thing that is the specter of communism is one of the keys to understanding the chaos the devil has sown in the world. Simply put, the specter of communism is composed of hate. It draws its energy from the hatred that wells up in the human heart. The communist specter is tied to Satan. Sometimes the two are indistinguishable, thus we will not make an effort to consider them separately. The devil's arrangements are present in both the East and the West, in every profession and in every walk of life. Sometimes its power is divided, sometimes integrated. Sometimes it uses this tactic, sometimes that. It follows no simple pattern. The devil is the initiator of an unrestricted war on mankind that has turned religion, the family, politics, the economy, finance, military affairs, education, the academy, the arts, the media, entertainment, popular culture, social affairs, and international relations, all into battlefields. The dark energy of the devil can spread from one sphere, group, or movement to another. After the anti-Vietnam War movement faded in the West in the 1970s, for instance, the devil manipulated rebellious adolescents to channel their energies into agitating for feminism, environmentalism, and the legalization of homosexuality. The devil's other efforts were used to subvert Western civilization from within. The devil can turn people with no good intent into its agents in the human world, using hypocrisy to deceive compassionate and innocent people who then become its apologists. The devil's agents, most of whom do not even realize their role, are everywhere in society, from the elite to the middle class to the lower classes. Thus, its activities manifest sometimes as bottom-up revolutions, sometimes as top-down conspiracies, sometimes as reforms from the center. The devil can change forms and exist in multiple places at once. It uses lowly beings and specters in other dimensions to do its work. Pornography and drug addiction are tools used by the devil, and as long as a person's thought aligns with these qualities, the devil can control that person. Many times, people think they are acting according to their own thoughts, but they failed to realize they're being manipulated. Five, the devil's many faces. Just as the devil goes by many names, communism manifests in many ways. The demon uses contradictory positions to deceive. A totalitarian regime or a democracy, a planned economy or a market economy, control of the press or no restraints whatsoever on speech, opposition to homosexuality in some countries or legalization of homosexuality in other countries, wanton environmental destruction, or clamor for environmental protection, and so on. It can advocate violent revolution or embrace peaceful transition. It may manifest as a political and economic system or as an ideological trend in art and culture. It may take the form of pure idealism or cold-blooded scheming. Communist totalitarian regimes are just one of the demon's manifestations. Marxism, Leninism, and Maoism form just one aspect of the devil's fallacies. Since utopian socialism developed in the 18th century, the world has seen the emergence of numerous ideological currents. Scientific socialism, Fabian socialism, syndicalism, Christian socialism, democratic socialism, humanitarianism, eco-socialism, welfare capitalism, Marxism-Leninism, and Maoism. These ideologies are of two types, violent communism or nonviolent communism. The infiltration and gradual erosion of the status quo are the main tactics adopted by communism's nonviolent strains. One of the devil's deceits is to make arrangements in the two opposing camps of the East and the West. As it carried out a vast invasion of the East, it also took on a new guise and stole into the West. The Fabian Society of Britain, the Social Democratic Party of Germany, the Second International of France, the Socialist Party in the United States, and many other socialist parties and organizations spread the seeds of destruction to Western Europe and North America. During the Cold War, the slaughter, concentration camps, and famines and purges in the Soviet Union and China made some Westerners count themselves lucky that they still lived in luxury and freedom. Some socialists publicly condemned the violence of the Soviet Union on humanitarian grounds, which led many to let down their guard around them. The demon of communism inhabits a variety of complex guises in the West and operates under many banners, making it almost impossible to guard against. The following schools or movements were either derived from communism or used by communism to reach its ends: liberalism, progressivism, the Frankfurt School, neo-Marxism, critical theory, the counterculture of the 1960s, the anti-war movement, sexual liberation, legalization of homosexuality, feminism, environmentalism, social justice, political correctness, Keynesian economics, avant-garde art schools, and multiculturalism.
Detta var första delen av introduktionsavsnittet. Den andra delen kommer att visas här nästa vecka. Hela introduktionsfilmen kan ni se på Ntd Sveriges kanaler på YouTube, Facebook och Gan Jing World. Tack för att ni har tittat och vi önskar er en riktigt god jul!